Let's look at that in more detail back at the DLG test station. Here we can test our 4 tractors' lifting powers. For this test, the tractor is jacked up and locked in a horizontal position to prevent the tires from sinking into the ground. That would adversely influence the measurements. We then set the link arms to a height of 20 centimeters. Our guide is still discussing a few details with the DLG test engineer, Mr. Huber, before the test starts. The link arm's maximum lifting power is measured at various lift heights. This is because the lifting power changes as the arms move through the lifting range. On all designs, there is only one point where the lift capacity is the greatest. Usually, this position is at the very top, as this is where implements such as plows demand maximum lift. But lifting power is still needed at the bottom of the range to raise a heavy load off the ground. The figure we publish is only 90% of the maximum results recorded in the test. This is so readers can count on these measurements as reliable, useful figures that can be used to help make purchase decisions. There were big differences between the lift capacities on our 4 test tractors. The Fendt and John Deere machines had to work hard, particularly in the lower lift range, whereas the New Holland was capable of lifting more than 7 tons. But all our test tractors managed to lift about 7.5 tons in the middle lift range. In the upper lift range, where a raised plough needs maximum lifting power, the New Holland and John Deere clearly fared better. 3 of our 4 test tractors were equipped with a front linkage, which we also tested, and here the New Holland again made a good impression. As with the rear linkage, the published results are lower than the actual maximum measurements, so readers know there's still a bit in reserve. Why do we publish the figure for only 90% of the actual lifting power recorded? We can only measure lifting power with the pressure relief valve open, which happens when the arms stop moving. But we can't do this in the field because when the pressure relief valve opens, it causes the oil to heat up.
Hydraulikarbeit können wir aber nicht im Felde machen, weil sich bei geöffnetem Überdruckventil natürlich das Öl an dieser Drosselstelle erhitzt.
Do you mean the pressure relief valve opens as soon as the arms reach the limit of their lift capacity? That's right. The lift arm stops raising. We measure the lift powers at each point they stop over the whole range. We then convert these lifting powers to 90% of the theoretical value to take into account practical requirements. And working in the field, you do not want to be working on the limit where the oil heats up. The way you adjust a linkage has an important influence on routine, daily work. The lift rods on the New Holland models are easy to adjust. The John Deere system is rather more sophisticated. First you remove the pin, put a spanner on the rod, and then, with a little bit of effort, readjust the lift rod. The layout, engineers call it the geometry of the hitch together with the top link, has a big influence on the tractor's actual lift capacity. This is why we also show how lift power develops through the whole range. We illustrate this together with the lift requirements calculated for typical heavy implements. In the Profi International test, a graph shows how lifting power develops over the whole range, and this is the curve you get when measuring the lifting power with the lift rod set to normal length. Between 23 and 97 centimeters, the lifting power increases from 6,000 to 7,600 kilograms. With lift rods shortened, the lifting range is higher, and so is lifting power. The performance of the front hitch is shown in a similar curve at a lower level. Because the lift requirement of an implement also depends on the linkage geometry, which means on the position of the ends of the link arms, we always calculate the lift requirement for a heavy implement too. For this test, we chose a 5-ton cultivation combination, and you can see the lift capacity is more than enough. not only on the Case tractor, but on all the others as well.